Right now, we're going to learn the Dvar Malchut, the speech which was given by the Rebbe right in the beginning of 1992. And in that year, the Rebbe was speaking, there were two udders. It was a double, it was what's called a pregnant year. A year that had two udders in it, 13 months. The month of Adar was 2 months. And here, the month of Adar, we talked about it last week. The month of Adar is a special month for the Jewish people. And there occurred an amazing miracle in the month of Adar. We're going to talk about this a lot, but just to reiterate, the month of Adar occurred an amazing miracle, which was the miracle of Purim. What was the miracle of Purim? This miracle occurred between the first and the second temple, right before the second temple was built, which means it was about 2,500 years ago, about 2,400 years ago. And what was the miracle? There was a king called Achashverosh, and he ruled over the whole world. And he had an advisor called Haman, who got into his favor, and essentially was de facto, Haman was the ruler of the whole world, because Achashverosh was a bit of a fool. I mean, he ruled over the whole world, so he must not have been that big of a fool, but he was sufficient fool that he did other stupid things. So one of the stupid things that he did was he allowed Haman to convince him to kill all the Jews. So Achashverosh made a decree to kill all the Jews. No problem. Kill all the Jews. Chabad points out that there was a big, a loophole in this decree. And that was that any Jew that said, I'm not Jewish, they couldn't kill him. They had no real definition of what a Jew is, but they didn't know what a Jew is. So it says to kill all the Jews. Any Jew that demonstrated that he's a Jew, they could kill him. And who could kill him? Everybody. It was a decree that everybody could kill their next door neighbors, their Jews, everyone, kill all the Jews. So any Jew that had a mezuzah on his door or whatever it is, wore a chai or something like that, any Jew would be killed. All they had to do was just deny their Judaism. That's all. Just deny their Judaism. And essentially what it came down to is that they just had to deny their Judaism for a day or two, because the decree was to kill all the Jews on a certain day. On a certain day. Then there was the permission. They couldn't kill them before that. And so all the non-Jews were sharpening up their weapons and practicing, throwing darts or whatever it is, poison arrows or whatever they were doing. And the poor Jews, and the Jews weren't allowed to arm themselves. They went around, and that was a decree. The Jews could not arm themselves. So the Jews were basically helpless. On the other hand, they weren't helpless at all. All they had to do was say, I'm not Jewish. That's all. I'm not Jewish for a day, 2 days. I'm not a Jew. As soon as they would declare they were not Jews, then they didn't have permission to kill them. Right? So it says that not one Jew even thought to say, I'm not Jewish. And that was the miracle. The miracle was not one Jew even thought to say, I'm not Jewish. And that was the miracle, that suddenly everything turned around. The king revealed that Esther was his wife, and that Esther was his wife, that she was a Jewess. And he said, okay, now the Jews, they can arm themselves, but I can't negate the decree to kill them. I have a decree to kill them. I don't want to make myself look like more of a fool than I already am. I'm not going to, the decree stands. There's still a decree to kill all the Jews, but the Jews have the right to defend themselves. Right? As soon as this started, then the Jews, they won all the battles, and not one Jew was killed, and etc. And that's the whole miracle of Purim. That's the miracle of Purim. It says, since then, the month of Adar, this whole month, it says in the Megillah, the Megillah that we read on Purim, that this month is a good month. The month that was transformed from misery to happiness. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. So in some ways, the month of Adar is a month of true Jewish identity. Because true Jewish identity is what we call self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice. And what self-sacrifice means, sacrificing your will. In other words, everybody wants to live. And the Jewish people, by saying, I am a Jew, they were going against the natural instinct of a person to do whatever you can to save yourself. Especially here, it didn't require that much. All you have to do is just say, take off your mezuzah from your door, take off your tzitzis or something, and that's it. You're saved. Not one Jew was willing to do that. Not one Jew was willing to do that. So that's what's called Mesirat Nefesh. You give away your, want to call it your selfishness. You give away your feeling of self-sacrifice. You sacrifice this. What do you give? What do you get if you sacrifice yourself? So then you realize that yourself is not really your self. You didn't create yourself. You didn't make yourself. You're not enlivening yourself. God is giving you yourself. It's God's self. Yourself comes from God. Then you become who you really are supposed to be. Then your talents start coming out and your positivity comes out and all the things which we're not used to now. Okay, that's the month of Adar, and that's what the Rebbe is going to talk about. How it's a special month for the Jews and the special uniqueness of the Jewish people. Parshas Tetzaveh, this week's Torah portion is Tetzaveh. Here, Parsha Yechida, it is the Torah portion, the only one in the Torah after Moses was born, right, in the beginning of Exodus. Moses was born. When, by the way, was Moses born? On the 7th day of Adar, this year, this month. Shalom Perish Moshe. This is I'm there. How did this go? The sentence here, there's Moses. Out of Rishon. Okay, I see. This is the first portion of the Torah after Moses was born, of course. And there's from the book of Exodus, the beginning of the book of Exodus, until the end of the Torah, every single Torah portion has Moses' name mentioned in it. Moshe, the only Torah portion that does not have Moses, the word Moses, Moshe, mentioned in it is this week's Torah portion. This is the only Torah portion that does not mention the name of Moshe. We find two reasons. Since the 7th day of Adar, Moses was born. Therefore, it is hinted the day he passed away in the fact that, I'm sorry, again, the 7th day of Adar, Moses was born, and 120 years later, exactly, Moses died. Same date. So because he died in the month of Adar, so therefore his death is hinted at in the fact that his name is not mentioned in this week's Torah portion, which is always read near the 7th day of Adar. 7th day of Adar. In this case, it'll be what, on Shabbat, right? Shabbat will be the 7th day of Adar. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. 1 second. Give me a second, I'll tell you.
No, Friday.
Yeah, Friday. Okay, so Friday. But close enough. Anyway, Friday is the 7th day of Adar, and the whole week we're reading Parsha Tetzaveh. So therefore, Parsha Tetzaveh is always read near or on the day that Moses passed away. And therefore, to give honor to Moses, we do not mention his name in this portion to show that he was taken from us in this month. Tragic month. So it's taken. Okay. Another reason. Kavan since Omer Moses, since then Moses said, Ve'im ayin mecheni na masifracha. Moses says, and this is going to be in next week's Torah portion, after the Jewish people worship the golden calf, so God says to Moses, come here, I want to tell you something, come here. I'm going to wipe him out. Moses said, what? I'm going to wipe out all the Jewish people, and listen, let me finish. I'm going to wipe out all the Jewish people, and I'm going to make a new Jewish people from you. Huh? What do you have to say about that, Moses? I'm going to wipe them all out. Look what they did. I gave them took them out of Egypt. I did all these good things for them. I took them out of slavery in Egypt. They were just about to lose their identity. I took them across, split the sea, gave them bread from heaven, water from a rock. I'm protecting them, gave them the Torah. I revealed myself to them. There was not one Jew that was not certain that God exists. Everybody saw God. They saw God. They felt God face to face. And what did they do? 40 days afterwards, they worshiped the golden calf. There's no way I can fix these people up. I did everything for them, and it just doesn't work, right? It's just like how do you say, an obsolete car or something like that, or a record that's all scratched. You can't do anything with it. And Moses said, oh yeah, God, if you want to do that, then wipe me out too. God said, but you don't understand. You're going to be the father of the Jewish people. They'll all come from you. Everybody will. Moses said, that's your idea. My idea is I don't want any part of it. The Jewish people are my people. I was assigned to take care of them. It doesn't make any difference what they do. You have to forgive them. You don't want to forgive them, then wipe me out. Make a new Moses. Start the whole business over. I'm connected to the Jewish people. That's it. You want to make a new Jewish people? Make a new Jewish people. Up to you. But don't make a new Jewish people for me. That's what Moses said. That's what Moses said. If not, if you don't forgive the Jews, please wipe me out from your book. No, it ended up that God did forgive the Jewish people, and he's been doing it since then. Who knows how many thousands of times, forgiving the Jewish people. And he promises he'll do it in the end also, despite the fact he destroyed the temple and everything. So God forgave the Jewish people, but to show that what Moses said, wipe me out, it says that the curse of a wise man, of a holy Jew, even if it's on condition, and the condition was not filled, right? What did Moses say? If you wipe out the Jewish people, then wipe me out. So God said, okay, I'm not going to wipe out the Jewish people. But nevertheless, that thing about wipe me out stayed. Therefore, Kodesh Baruch Hu answered what Moses said, and he wiped Moses out from this week's Torah portion. In this week's Torah portion, Titzada. Okay, both of these reasons, we have to understand something. Moses' name is not mentioned here. There has to be a reason. There has to be a reason. Nothing is by accident. And this is a thing which is very, it sticks out. Every Torah portion except for this is not mentioned. Says, well, I got two reasons, because this is the right time when Moses died. So to honor Moses, we don't mention his name. And the other one is that Moses said, wipe me out from your book. And because he said that, so God wiped them out, not from the whole book, but just from this one Torah portion. Says the Rebbe, both of these reasons have to be explained. And also, what's relevant to us? What do we care? We'll see. The Mrs. Moshe, and the reason that Moses died on the 7th day of Adar, since the 7th day of Adar he died, and the 7th day of Adar he was born 120 years before, Kedai, therefore, who, Yom, the day of his birth, the Chaper Alamisa, this brings forgiveness for the day he died. Kamudgash, okay, what happened? When Moses was born, so he started doing good deeds. 120 years of good deeds. When Moses died, it's true, it's a tremendous tragedy, but it didn't wipe out the good deeds that he did. So the day that he was born, that's the main thing. The day that he was born, he did all these wonderful things that occurred. Good. The day that he died, he couldn't do any more good things, let's say, in the world. Even though the spirit of Moses is encouraging the Jews for all generations and etc., and his prayers are standing for us for all time. But okay, Moses died. It says in the Torah that he died. Even though it's not so clear, because it says that where is it in the Gemara in Sota? In Sota, and this says that Moses didn't die. So, okay, any case, it says that Moses, but he was born. And the fact that he was born and all the good deeds he did, those are eternal. That can't be wiped out. That can't be stopped. Like it says, Shabut and Simchas Haman. That's the big mistake that Haman made. Haman was very happy. He said he threw lots, he threw dice, whatever, to decide when to destroy the Jews. It came out the number 11. He was very happy because 11, it came out number 12. He was very happy because that's the 12th month. That's Adar. And that's the month that Moses died. Because he didn't know, though, that on the same date that Moses died, he died on the month of Adar, but he was also born in that month. So because Haman thought that he was going to destroy the Jews because Moses died but he didn't know that Moses was born, and his birth, that cancels out his death. If so, why should the Torah, according to the first reason, why should the Torah leave out Moses' name from a Torah portion because of the day he died, the day he was gone? Exactly the opposite. They should make this is the date that he was born. That he was born, that removes, that erases the blemish of his death, the lack of it. Okay. Number two, second reason. The second reason is that Moses said, wipe me out from your book. Because Moses said, wipe me out from your book, therefore God listened to him and he wiped him out. So, but that doesn't make so much sense. Why? Because when did Moses say, wipe me out from your book? This was after Yud Zayin Tammuz. This is after he broke the tablets even. Moses broke the tablets on the Yud Zayin Tammuz. The Nichtabu b'Torah, it says in the Torah, in Parshas Ketisa, and also in the Torah, this is next week's Torah portion. When did Moses say, wipe me out from your book? Next week he said it. If so, why is it mentioned over here in this week before Moses even said it? Parshas Tetzaveh. Parshas Tetzaveh, this comes before the utterance of Moses, wipe me out. If God wanted to wipe out Moses, it should be in some Torah portion after he said it. After he said it. And this Torah portion is before. And especially according to the opinions that Parshas Tetzaveh was said before the sin of the golden calf. So the Torah doesn't always come in chronological order. Everything that happens in the Torah is not chronological order. But here is a case where it was in chronological order. Right? So it ends up that God wiped Moses' name out from the Torah before he even asked it. That doesn't make any sense. So both of these reasons, there's something wrong with them. There must be a better and even a more positive reason why Moses' name does not appear in this week's Torah portion. And from this, we're going to learn something very, very amazing about Moses. Gam, also, Tzurich Lahavin, we have to understand the connection between both of these two reasons, which are given one to the other. That because these are reasons on the same, now these are Torah reasons. These are reasons that the rabbis gave. So they're not just reasons that some person made up. Because of these two reasons that are given, one, because Moses died in this month, so his name is not mentioned, or because Moses said, wipe me out, from these two reasons, it's logical to say that there must be some sort of a connection between them. Okay. Yuvan Beck, then we can understand the special, the excellence in the fact that Moses was born on the seventh day of Adar. This is a day of great joy. And because Moses was born in the month of Adar, that really brought the whole joy of the whole month of Adar. Like we said before, Haman knew that the Jewish people were above nature. Haman was a very spiritual person, very spiritual person. And Haman knew the stars, and he knew this, all this, and he knew that the Jewish people were above nature. And he wanted to destroy the Jews. That was a big goal for him. That was a big goal. Maybe the goal was to destroy the Jewish people. There's a lot of interpretations, a lot of commentators, whatever it is, that say that was also the big motivating factor with Hitler. Was not so much world conquest. That's what he told the people in order to say inspire the Germans to make a bigger Germany and etc. But what was really down deep inside of his soul was that he wanted to destroy the Jews, which we see that in the end it was just insane. He diverted the soldiers and trucks and everything just to kill the Jews of Hungary. It was a big and whatever it is. But anti-Semitism was a thing that was rooted deep in the essence of their soul. And we can see that today. I mean, people hate the Jews. They don't even know why they hate them. They have no idea why. The Jews are trying to take over the world. The Jews have all the money. The Jews are not, and the Jews are insidious. The Jews have a plan. They have a plan to take over the world. The Zionists, the Jews, the religious, everybody is against the world. The Jews are the worst. They're those you can't trust them. But they have no proof for any of this. But that doesn't make any difference. What do you have to have proof? Everybody says it. What's a proof? Right? Somebody once said to me, The Jews were kicked out of all these countries. There must be something wrong with them. They were kicked out of England. They were kicked out of France. I mean, don't you get it? It's the Jews' fault. Jews' fault. Well, I mean, it's logical, you know what? But on the other hand, why were they kicked out? What happened to them? They refused to accept our Lord. They didn't want to accept the church. They wouldn't accept the no. The Muslims also didn't want to accept the other people, specifically the Jews. So it says the only people that don't hate the Jews are either people that open their mind up and see what's really going on, or people that don't know who the Jews are. They just never heard of them, like people in China and these places. They don't even know what Jews are, so they don't hate the Jews. Hate the Jews. But the hatred is ubiquitous. That's what it's everywhere. It's just, hating the Jews. So it says Haman wanted to destroy the Jews. And he said to everyone, kill the Jews. Everyone was happy. They all agreed. You didn't have to convince them very much. And he threw lots. He wanted to know when to do it because he knew that the Jews were above nature. So he figured, I'm not going to decide this on my own logically. I'm going to throw lots. Lots. Exactly what these lots were, I don't exactly understand how it was, but it came out on the 12th month. Because if it was just regular dice, it couldn't be number one. It wouldn't be the first month. Wouldn't be. Anyway, it doesn't make any difference. So he threw lots. Let's say it was dice, and it came out on the 12th month. So he was very happy. The 12th month is the month of Adar. He was very happy. Why was he happy? Because he knew Moses died on that month. And therefore, it was assured that from the heavens, the powers of the celestial powers, whatever, that he was going to defeat the Jews. Finally, someone's going to put an end to these people, the Jews. Said, but what? He didn't know that Moses was born on the 7th day of Adar. And because he was born on the 7th day of Adar, so which he didn't know, that put a big hole in his plan, a big monkey wrench in all of his plans. Right? So it ends up that the 7th day of Adar was somehow or other the day that really saved the Jews, the merit of the 7th day of Adar, when Moses was born. In regarding the month of Adar, it says in the Talmud, since that his dice or whatever, his lots fall on the month of Adar, Haman was happy, a tremendous happiness. He said if all the 4 and the Yerech on the month, it was the month that Moses died. But Lo Yadan, he did not know, Shebeshiva Ba'adar, on the 7th day of Adar, Moses died. Ubeshiva Ba'adar Nolad, on the 7th day of Adar, he was born. Hainu, Shaledas Moshe, that the birth of Moses on the 7th day of Adar, Pa'uled brought about Bittul, negating Hafichas Gezerah, the decree of Haman on the month of Adar. This is in fact, it made the whole month to a month of happiness. Mishenichnas Adar, when Adar came in as happiness. Adar is a month that's healthy. It's a healthy, the mazel, the luck of that month is healthy. The stars are shining on us. Ma'il Miyucheres is a special character of the month of Adar that we don't find any similarity in any of the other months. Now, there's months that are very good for the Jewish people. The month of Tishrei, it's Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, right? Happiness, the month of that. God gave the Torah, the month of Sivan. God took us out of Egypt, the month of Nisan, but it's nothing like the month of Adar. The month of Adar turned the whole creation around to favor the Jews. Okay, so we have to understand. And Mipashtas Dibriya Gemara, from the simple meaning of the Gemara, it seems to be that the birth of Moses in the month of Adar, this wipes out, it erases, and it takes away the bad thing about the death of Moses, that Moses died. Because of this, Haman was happy. We saw Moses died. L'chiera, at first glance, in Raya, there's no real proof that the month of Adar should be so great more than the other months of the year. I mean, after all, Moses did die. And Haman wanted to kill the Jewish people. That's what he wanted to do. So Moses was born. Good. He was born. The Jewish people were also born. They were taken out of Egypt. They were born. But in the month of Adar, Moses died. So the same thing with the Jews. Maybe you could put it. Why was it that? No. The day that Moses was born, that wipes out any bad thing that's going to happen afterwards, even though the fact that he died. What's this got to do with it? Let's see. And this is even more what the rabbis explain on these lots that Haman threw, a lottery, right? He threw a lottery, the dice that Haman threw. Omer Haman, when Haman said, La bet the Yudim, and wanted to destroy the Jews, Omar, he said, Echani sholet bahem, how can I rule over the Jews? Hareini mapil gorolot, I'm going to throw lots, to make a lottery. He Nisan. He started out with the month of Nisan, and it came out Passover. Come the month of Iyar, month of after Nisan. There is what's called Pesach Katan, the second Passover. All the months, every single month had some sort of a merit on it, until it came out the month of Adar. V'lo matzah shum zachut. There was no merit in the month of Adar. Chazar v'badak. He looked in the mazlos and all this zodiac and the whole constellations. Taleh zechut Pesach. What is it? Aries. Is that what it is? Aries. Passover has its zodiac sign. The Taurus, right? That is as the merit of Yosef. Every month has its zodiac sign. He came to the month of all of the 12 months of the year. Each one had something good about it, until he came to the mazel of the 12th month of the year of Adar, and he didn't find anything good in it. He was tremendously happy. It was said, Adar ein lo zechut. Adar has no merit. Mazel ain't no merit. Hasn't got any merit. That's fish. We'll see. Below, not only that, but Adar made Moshe. Not only that, the month of Adar has no good zodiac sign, and also Moses' maiden died in that month. But who it is lo yadad, he didn't know that in Adar Moses died, and then Adar Moses was born. But Omar, and he said, Shem shadagim, just like fish swallow one up another, I'm going to swallow up the Jews. God said, evil person. Dagim pamim, sometimes they swallow one another, and sometimes they are swallowed up by one another. Akshav, now, Oto Ish, now you, Haman, you're going to be swallowed up by the ones who you want to swallow. Okay, so this hints at first glance that the birth of Moses, it just negated the one thing about his death. This is like Bitel Efsharut, the Ani Bolea Otam. Like it says that just like you thought you were going to swallow the Jews are going to swallow you. Why? Because Moses was born in this month. But the month itself still remains that it doesn't really have any mazel on its own. What does it say? Just like Moses' birth and all the good things he did afterwards, that swallows up the bad fact that he died. So the same thing is the fish, the Pisces, is the mazel of Adar. The fish will, once sometimes they swallow each other. That's what you want to do. You want to swallow up the Jews. Well, just like the merit of Moses' birth swallowed up the fact that he died, as also the Jews are going to swallow you up. But still, it remains the fact that the month of Adar does not have any merit to it. The month doesn't have a good zodiac. More than any of the other months of the year. If so, what are we going to explain? The explanation is like this. Al pi yadu, it's known that the day of a birth of a person, that when a person is born, it says a mazel sholet beyomahu, it says that his luck on that day, the blessing of that day, helps him. Shamazel deyom, that the luck of the day that you're born helps a person. It says mazlo gover, so that his blessings are more, the spiritual influences on that day are strong, that they are victorious. Kolomer, like it says, v'gover Yisrael, like it says when the Jewish people were fighting against Amalek, it says that when Moses lifted up his hands, then the Jewish people, they were victorious. Yesh lomer, we can say, when Moses was born, Moses is the Jewish people, and the Jewish people are Moses, Moshe. Nasi Adar, the leader of the generation, he includes all of the generation, because the generation, the leader of the generation, he's everything. He's everything. Even since Espetusha the Moshe, since there's a branch, a representative of Moses in every generation, Kolal Moshe shall call Ben Israel, and there has to be a Moses in all the people, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, all the Lubavitcher Rebbes, they cared about all the Jewish people. Gover Muslim, so therefore, the mazel of all the Jewish people, therefore, was enhanced on the birth of Moses, because Moses was all of the Jewish people. He was the soul of all the Jewish people. He was the caretaker of all the Jewish people, the shepherd of all the Jewish people. And Moses started this thing that in every generation there has to be a shepherd of the Jewish people. But when was that whole topic, that whole idea of a shepherd of the Jewish people born? On the seventh day of Adar. So the birthday, it says, is a day of luck, of fortune. Mizeh, so this is understood also in the mazel of the whole entire month. The month that Moses was born, namely when Yisrael was born, this helps the mazel of the month to overpower nitkabrut, that there's an enhancement of the spiritual merit of the Jewish people. Therefore, it says Adar is a month of Adar, the Bari Takif Mazle. That Adar is a month when the mazel is strong. Hainu Shaladis Moshe, the birth of Moses on the seventh day of Adar. This brings about a lucky month for all the Jewish people. It brings about a blessing for the whole entire month, that in it, this is the mazel of the Jewish people. According to this, now we can say that the end of the Midrash, what it says, that Haman knew that Moses died on that month, but he didn't know that Moses was born on that month. This means an answer on that Adar doesn't have any good zodiac to it. What do it mean? That he doesn't have to have any good merit, the month of Adar on itself. Doesn't have to. Like the other month, that each month it needs some sort of a merit of its spiritual configuration, of its zodiac sign. It has, one month has Passover in it, one month has the giving of the Torah in it. Why? The month of Adar doesn't have to have any good signs, because Sheyeshno Inyan Nala, there's something which is even higher than the month itself, which is the mazel of all the Jewish people. Moses was born, and Moses is all the Jewish people. In this case, the Jewish people are not dependent on the mazel of the month. Exactly the opposite. The mazel of the month is dependent on the Jewish people. The Jewish people, so to speak, were born in the month of Adar. That's when Moses was born. Moses is all the Jewish people. So that gives power and blessing to the month of Adar. It means that the fact that Moses was born in the month of Adar, this gives and helps the mazel, the luck, the blessing of that month, even though the month itself doesn't have any power, doesn't have any good luck signs in that month. This, in some ways, is the most powerful month of all for the Jewish people. The Jewish people, the existence of the Jewish people is so powerful in this month that it gives blessing to the whole entire month. So we see the month of Adar, this is like the ultimate Jewish month, the month of Adar. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Tomorrow, by the way, there's only going to be, I think I'm going to have to stop early. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe not. No, maybe not. Because a big group is coming, but they're coming later. I think I can manage. Okay.